Today we're going to be testing another kitchen gadget, and it is the Magnific Claypot multi-cooker. Let's get this thing open. Right off the bat, this was not sent to me. It's not sponsored, but my mom bought this. She said it was an impulse buy because she just liked everything. And we were just talking and she was like, you should unbox it and test it. So I think that's just a way to get me to cook dinner. But that's what we're going to do. Pretty excited. I have seen this a little bit, but you know that I'm really big in clean cooking appliances, and this is supposed to be a very, very clean option. It's essentially like a slow cooker, and to be honest, I'm very interested in the color because the colors online are not my favorite, I'm not even gonna lie, and the size because it's 4 quarts. It does come in 6 quart, so the 4 quart is $179.99, and then the 6 quart is $199.99. Talk about marketing to make sure it's not the 200, smart. My mom got the Sage. Okay. Much prettier than it is online. Very well packaged, which I guess it has to be because it is, I think it says Kaolin clay. So this entire pot is clay. It does have like a little vent hole in the lid, and it does say Magnific on the top. Very pretty color. All right, so lid, let's just continue opening. I'm also interested on how much this is going to weigh. It says it's 13.5 pounds for the 4 quart and only 14 pounds for the 6 quart, so really not that much of a difference in the weight. Oh, that is so much smaller than I thought. I thought it was gonna be really tall, like a normal crock pot. That is definitely way more shallow than I thought it was gonna be. Now this did get really good reviews. Obviously on their site, it was like 4.78 stars out of 5. And then on Amazon, it was 4.5 stars. So still pretty good reviews. And I always look at how many people reviewed it, and it was over 500. So I feel like that's a pretty good amount of people saying that it, you know, worked pretty well for them. It's not super heavy. Okay, so you have your base, you have your actual pot, and your lid, and then whatever these are. All right, this is just the little recipe book. So that's nice. And then of course the user manual. Okay, oh, you get a nice wooden spoon. I like the shape of it. I like unique looking things, and this is fairly unique. It's not like the heaviest, which I don't know that you need, but it does feel like good quality. So this appears to be a pot lid storage rack. I mean, that's cool. I don't know that it's a necessity, but it's neat to have. Okay, so I'm sitting here editing and just want to let you know that my mom explained that the pot holder would be really great if you were using it as a serving dish. So you'd sit your serving dish, or you would sit the clay pot onto the table on the trivet, and then you'd have the top holder right there on the side, and you would just put the top there, and it wouldn't be laying flat anywhere. It would just be sitting up. So that is probably a better use than what I was thinking it was for. So it could be a little bit more useful than I thought it was. Ooh, and then I guess you get like a cork hot plate. I wonder if that's what this is. I wonder if it's a hot plate that you can sit it on. It is, it's a serving trivet. That's nice because it's the size of the bottom. That's really, really cool. I love trivets, so this is neat to have with it, and you can just store it inside of it and then pull it out. And that's one of the interesting things about this is the look of it. Because it's such a pretty dish or appliance, you're able to take it directly from the base where it's cooking and immediately serve it. And it doesn't look like you're just taking your crock pot and sitting it in the middle of your dinner party. So yeah, this is overall a really pretty appliance. So just some information on this. It is 100% non-toxic, third-party tested. Because of the clay, it's gonna retain the heat and the moisture better for better results. I don't know, I haven't cooked in it, but that's what it's supposed to do. You can slow cook, braise, sear, and saute. It'll keep it warm, brown rice, white rice, oats, and pasta. So a lot of different options with this. I also saw where you could take this directly into the oven. So for storage, let's say you have a smaller kitchen, you can actually use this in the oven for brownies or blondies or anything like that. So it really is like a multi-purpose cooker. Magnific's site, it says it's 500 degrees Fahrenheit safe. On Amazon, it said 450 degrees Fahrenheit. I don't know. I assume what's on Magnific is what's correct, but I did want to note that it did have two different high temperatures per Amazon and per the actual website. Now this is like an oval shape, if you can see. But they do actually have a round version also. A few more really important things that are important to me is there is no lead. I think you say cadmium, arsenic, or mercury. There are 0 PFAs, no forever chemicals, and 0 BPAs. So no microplastics either. It does say you want to wash this before use, obviously, but it also wants you to do an initial burn off. And I had someone ask me about my Kasori Iconic stainless steel air fryer. If you haven't seen that video, I'll link it below. But I did a burn off where I was burning off the chemicals, and they were like, well, if there are chemicals, then it's toxic. It's really just the packaging chemicals. Like when they process this, they you package it, put it together, ship it, it's in the box. Their, stuff gets in it, and they say to do that first initial burn off just to, like it says, burn off all of those potential chemicals. So I do like to do that in a vented area or outside preferably, and you just do a run and it just gets all that stuff out. Another cool thing about this is it's dishwasher safe. I wouldn't have guessed that, but it's quite interesting that it is. That is quite convenient. I would probably personally still hand wash it, but it is really nice to have the option of throwing it in the dishwasher. So I'm gonna wash this up, take it outside, and do the first run or burn off, and then we are going to come back tomorrow and do a quick test recipe in it and see how it does. Okay, I am outside in the garage. It didn't say what to actually turn this on to do the first burn off, so I'm just going to turn it on and do, I guess, slow cook maybe? It says to do it for 10 minutes. So I'm gonna do it on high for, oh gosh, not 6 hours. Well, it'll only go down to 2 hours. So I guess I'll just set a timer inside, but I'm gonna let this go for 10 minutes. Okay, this has been going for a little bit longer. Since it was the slow cook, I decided to let it go a little while longer, but I don't smell any chemical smell whatsoever. So I'm just going to stop this and turn it off. Maybe a little bit of a chemical smell, but nothing bad. Yeah, up close I can smell it a little bit more. But I did let this go for about 20 minutes. I'm just gonna let this cool, and then we'll take it back in the house. So I will link this recipe below, but it was actually a recipe from Magnific on their actual site for a honey Asian chicken. The actual taste of this turns out delicious. You'll see there's a few things that are a little bit more difficult to do, I think, because of me having to do a large quantity for my family, and the clay pot just isn't that big. However, if you don't want the clay pot, I still highly suggest this recipe. I thought it was amazing. You could easily do it on a griddle or a cast iron pan or anything. It just was a good recipe. Okay, so I have some rice going in the Instant Pot for dinner. While this is going, I'm going to go ahead and cook the rest of my meal in the Magnific clay pot. All right, so the one thing for this recipe, I do have to saute the chicken in here. You also have to prep like some broccoli and carrots. I think this is going to go pretty fast, so I am going to go ahead and prep all my ingredients before I even start searing or sauteing the chicken in here. I need to turn it on, and then I'm actually looking at mode. I want to sear, saute on high, and I'm going to start. There are these little lights indicators. I'm assuming it's not ready because some of the lights are still flashing. I'm going to give it a couple more minutes. It's been about 3 minutes, so I will check back. I don't know, I might give it 5 minutes and just see what happens with the lights. Oh my goodness, do you see the steam coming off of it? That's very odd. Not really sure why the outside would be steaming like that. Okay, so as you can see, I am back outside with this thing. I think when I did the burn off, I did it on like slow cook for like 15, 20 minutes, something like that. I didn't do it on the high setting. So I think that's what's going on. It's burning off some of that packaging residue, and I didn't do it hot enough. So I now have it on the highest setting, and I'm gonna let this burn out here for about 10 minutes, let it cool down, and then try it again, reheating, and make sure it's not smoking. Okay, so now you can see it says to add food. So I did the burn off, we've come back in, we have started back over. I have my chicken ready to go in, and this is quite hot. The outside is warm but touchable. It's pretty hot. The outside gets really hot. These handles don't, but the outside does, and obviously the ceramic. So it says you can add a little bit of oil to it, and I'm gonna scoot this out. Then I'm just going to add my chicken that's been marinating for about 5 hours. And this is 4 chicken breasts, each one cut into 3. Ooh, it is definitely sauteing. Wow, it is popping actually. I don't know that I'm gonna be able to get all the chicken in here. You know, I'm gonna take this piece out and just let this cook. It says to saute for about 4 minutes on one side and then flip it. And then what I'll do is take it out, put it on a plate, and do these other 3 pieces. Actually, I might give it a little bit more room since I gotta do it 2 times anyway. So yeah, the forecourt's not huge. I do like that it tells you how long you've been cooking. So instead of like a countdown, I know how long the chicken's been cooking. Okay, so this has now been searing for about 4 minutes on that side. I do wonder if I need to do it 1 or 2 more minutes on the other side since these are big pieces. I know we're gonna put it back in there, but chicken always makes me a little bit nervous. I will say things on the bottom, like where it is kind of burning, it's not sticking. If you can see, it just kind of slides right off, so that's really nice. Go ahead and put these final pieces of chicken in here. Like I said before, it's really cool that it's counting up. So I know for 5 minutes, I need to look at this at 16 minutes in. And I am gonna keep moving it around because I feel like it is starting to burn just a little bit. I didn't say to do that, but I'm going to do it. I've decided I'm gonna turn the temp on this down to low because it is starting to burn. You're not supposed to have to do that until you put the veggies in, but I just think I need to do it for a minute and let this kind of calm down. It is quite hot. Also, just to let you know, when I turned it to low, it did start my cooking over. So I had to remember how much time I had let this sear. So just to note, if you do change the mode or the time or the temperature, it's going to, well, I assume the mode and the time, the temperature definitely is going to change, start your time count over. I also want to show, well, I guess it's kind of burning everywhere. It's just really hot. Like this set of chicken is cooking so much faster on the outside. It's just searing it. It is so hot. Now it could be because this is like a honey glaze, but the pot gets extremely hot. So I'm gonna let this cook a few more minutes and then I'm gonna have to put the other chicken in here to let it get golden brown like this. Okay, I feel like all the pieces of chicken are now good and golden brown, or as close to that as we're gonna get. I do think that if you have a larger family and you're cooking for a larger amount family, this may not be the pot. It's really not big enough for a ton of chicken. Like, I do think this is really pushing it to its edge. So the next part is the vegetables. This is mushrooms, broccoli, and carrots, and you just dump it on top of the chicken. Then it wants you to add that leftover marinade, 1 cup of chicken broth, and I actually use this to cook the rice, so I know there's 1 cup left in here. And then we've already turned it to saute low, but that's what we were supposed to do, and cover it. And then you just want to let this simmer and steam for 15 minutes. Now, it didn't tell me to add any salt or anything like that, so we're just going to let it go and see how it tastes. But we may end up adding some salt and pepper to this. We will see. Okay, we are at the 22-minute mark, and the top of this is not hot, so I'm able to actually pick it up by my hands. I'm going to go ahead and mix this up. I don't really know, I guess it just steamed all the veggies. Okay, the final step is going to be adding a cup of arugula and then letting it sit for 2 more minutes. So like I said before, this recipe turned out excellent, but stay tuned because I am going to test a couple more dishes in this clay pot just to see how it performs overall. But for this recipe specifically, it worked really, really well. I did end up adding just a little bit of salt and pepper at the end because I felt like it just needed a little bit more seasoning, but honestly not much because coconut aminos already had a lot of flavor. But overall, definitely a great recipe. Okay, so I wanted to try a breakfast in here because it is nonstick and I saw that you could do scrambled eggs. So I'm just going to do some chicken sausage and scrambled eggs in here. So I'm going to put it on, turn it on. I guess the saute, I'm thinking on low. Let's start there and see how this does. So for this second recipe, I just cubed up some chicken sausage and added it to the pot, giving it a quick stir before pouring in my eggs mixed with a little bit of cottage cheese. That's honestly my favorite way to have eggs, mainly because it adds a little bit of protein and I just really like the texture and taste that the cottage cheese gives the eggs. But anyway, overall, I think it did a pretty good job, but I did notice that the eggs started to burn a little on the bottom, so while it did work, I'm not sure that I'd say it was easier than just making it on the stovetop. And I will be interested to see how easily that burn comes off. Okay, I just washed this and I have to at least show this thing cleans up beautifully. It is so easy to wash and clean. I mean, it's kind of ridiculous how easy it is. So for a non-toxic option to be this easy to clean, I mean, you saw how burnt everything was on this and it literally washed off so easy. So for this final test, I decided just to brown hamburger meat, and honestly, I felt like it did a really good job doing that. It was super quick and easy, and I also like that it didn't seem to make quite as much of a mess as it does on the stovetop. Now, do I think this clay pot is something everyone needs to run out and buy? Honestly, probably not. I think it's really best for small families, single individuals, or maybe even someone living like in a dorm who doesn't have access to a full stove. In that situation, I actually think this is a really good option. I do love that it's non-toxic, and overall it worked well. I just wouldn't necessarily call it a must-have kitchen item. It's definitely neat and functional. It's just a little small for everyday cooking, in my opinion. Thanks for joining. Don't forget to subscribe, and I will see you next time. Thanks. Bye.